You're listening to the Spirit Podcast.
Welcome back to The Spirit, where we explore the unseen, the unknown, and the downright fascinating mysteries of existence. I'm your host, Beck, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Rachel. Hey, Rach.
Hey, Beck. Hey, Spirit Seekers.
We have an incredible guest joining us today, someone who beautifully blends the mystical with the musical. He's a practicing psychic, an expert in tarot, a seasoned musician and songwriter, an author, and an educator. Truly the cosmic trifecta. Welcome to the Spirit, Marv Machura. First, I have to ask, have you ever felt like a song just downloads straight from the universe?
Yes. Most of my songs are like that. I don't sit around with a pencil waiting for a song to hit me. It's like they come to me and they bug me enough until I write them down and get them recorded, get them out there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wondered if you ever felt like somebody channeled through you.
Yeah, it's very humbling. In playing music as well, it looks like you're all ego up there, but it's really the opposite. When you're performing and it's your best performances, you're not really there. It's like the universe is taking over. And a good example is guitar solo. I'm a guitarist primarily. That's how I started. And guitarists can be wankers. They can be showing off, but it's the best solos aren't like that at all. It's ironic that way, that you realize that you're just an instrument. You're in the grand music of the universe.
That's the best way to look at things.
Yes, it is. It's very mystical. It's the same with the card reading too, and all magical things. You can never take credit for them. Unfortunately, that's a missing piece of the magical world. People think that if they spin around a certain number of times and wave their wand or whatever, they can make magic. And they can, but you got to realize that magic is made through either a good force or a bad force. Like Bob Dylan says, you got to serve somebody. You can't do it alone. You can't.
Your grandfather introduced you to dowsing for water with a willow branch.
Yes.
That's a fascinating entry point. Do you remember
Yeah.
the moment you realized that this was more than a party trick, that you had a deeper psychic gift?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Yes. He was a very great guy, and he didn't make a big deal out of his magical skills again, like some people might do. He'd just say it. He'd just do it and say, yeah, there's water down there. Water down 8 feet. And he'd tell you how good it was or what it was like. He was good to the inch, and people would ask him, how do you do this? He says, just do. That's all. And anyway, I remember my brother and sister were there at the same time as this particular moment went down. And my brother held the branch like he showed him, and it didn't do anything. My sister held the branch, same, didn't do anything. And then I grabbed the branch. Honestly, I couldn't hold it. I really tried as hard as I could to stop, but it flipped right out of my hands. It was such a powerful moment. I felt an incredible sense of power beyond me. And as hard as I tried not to let that branch flip out of my hand, I couldn't.
What do you think that was?
Well, as my Gita would explain, he says you're sensitive to the vibrations. Water is, of course, very mystical, and it has all kinds of magnetic properties, and we don't even understand it entirely. There's been a lot of good books about it lately, how water is such an amazing substance. Anyway, when it's underground, it's producing some kind of magnetic, beyond the physical nature of the water, and somehow you become the conduit for that vibration underground, and that comes through the willow branch to your hands. And you're really, in the true sense of the word, medium. You're a medium.
It's so cool.
And it's kind of like a gift. It is a gift because like not everybody has it. I think everybody has some ability of it, but not everybody has complete that sort of full gift, I guess you could say it. But again, as all gifts, the gifts are distributed generously across the universe. But it's what you do with the gift that matters.
Absolutely. You've also mentioned you could read playing cards before ever
Yeah.
touching tarot. How did
Yeah.
that experience shape your understanding of divination?
Well, in a similar way, too, because most people think of the playing card deck as just a playing card deck. I was interested in it and I learned a few things about divination with cards. And as soon as I started trying it out, it was working for me. I was able to seep into them doing layouts with the regular deck. And most people agreed that I was very accurately describing either their past or their future or their present. The regular deck is based on the tarot, so a lot of the numbers match up and the face cards match up. So, for example, the Queen of Hearts is the Queen of Hearts, both in the tarot and in the regular playing deck. The only difference, well, there's a lot of differences, but in the regular playing deck, the only trump card left is the Joker, which is the 0 card in the tarot, the Fool. And it's remained in the regular deck, but that was the only part of that tarot, of the traditional tarot that made the transition into the regular deck.
You've described the tarot as a 78-page book hidden in plain sight. I love that.
Yeah.
Can you expand on how you interpret the tarot beyond just fortune telling?
The tarot is a visual form of the human condition and our relationship with God and the universe. It's an ancient book of knowledge that speaks to why we're here, what can happen to the human body while we're here. It's very comprehensive and powerful in that way. That's why it works so well as a divination tool. Because as a divination tool, you pull the card that is needed to be spoke of at that time when you're fully engaged with the metaphysical vibration of your client or seeker, let's say, better word. And the complexity of being human is very complex. I don't think there's anything about being human that the tarot doesn't cover. And that's remarkable. I'm also a Shakespeare scholar and a student of the human condition. Freud actually he said, all my work in psychology is just a footnote to Shakespeare. Because Shakespeare, he was just given that nature of the human condition is still that's why he's still popular 400 years after he had wrote all those 27 plays. There's not much that, I don't know if there's anything that he didn't cover about the human condition. Anyway, some people say that the tarot is given to mankind by Thoth, the Egyptian god of knowledge and wisdom. And there's something to that. There likely was a civilization prior to ours that was either equally advanced or more advanced than ours. And to pass down that knowledge to the next generations requires some stealth, because there's a lot of book burners there that don't like the truth. And plus there's different languages, and as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And these images, plus the numerology, also the nature of the Cabal, the Jewish Cabal, the Tree of Life, that's also, I believe, in the tarot. I know what's in there. And I consider myself an expert because I know quite a bit about it, but it's a lifelong learning journey to learn all the subtleties of the tarot.
Do you have a favorite tarot card? And if you do, why?
Magician. Yeah, I relate to that card. The Magician is the link between the spirit world and the physical world. And I relate to that card a lot. But there is male and female are universal concepts. They're much in the tarot. And it's also the male. It's the equivalent of the High Priestess, which is the female version. I'm not saying that I have a lot of female in me and females have a lot of male, and it's not clear, but there are those polarities in the universe. So as a male, I guess I relate that a little bit more, but I certainly feel connection also to the High Priestess card. But yeah, the Magician is my favorite card. Interestingly enough, when I started doing this professionally it was at the end of 2002, I was reading for friends and neighbors and people just the regular card deck. I would do cartomancy with the regular deck. And it was in 2020 when there was the COVID stuff going on, and there was no place for musicians to play. And I'm a musician. I have to play. You just can't imagine life without performing. But the only place that allowed me to play in that year and a half or whatever was the Vernon Farmers Market. I live in a little town called Vernon in the North Okanagan and in BC. And I was there one day, and I came to the end of my 2-hour set, and I'd never really busked before, but busking is okay. I do a little bit of it still.
Nice.
And I thought at the end of my set, geez, maybe I could make a little bit of money just reading cards here at the fair. So I approached the management. I said, is it okay to put a card reading table up? And I said, in those days, I'd say, I'll make sure the distancing is proper and we'll wear masks if necessary, blah, blah, blah. And they said, sure, we'd love to have it, but you have to have a table, pay the money, because busking is just you show up with your guitar and play.
Right.
So I had to become a full-fledged farmer's market person. And so that idea, once it entered my head, it wouldn't let me go. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this professionally, I better find out more about the tarot. I should use tarots because everybody would expect tarot. They wouldn't expect the regular deck. And so I just went to my local Chapters, which is a bookstore here in Canada, and I went to the metaphysical section, and I picked up a deck which is called the Millennium Thoth Tarot. It just spoke to me. These things happen like this, turning points in life. So I took it home, and beautiful deck. It's a Thoth deck, by the way, in case people out there know that there's two kinds of deck. Two basic, really popular decks. There's the Rider-Waite deck and the Thoth deck. There's differences between them. The Thoth is the newer deck. Anyway, I didn't even know that at that time. I just picked it up, went home, looked at the cards, shuffled them up. My first card that I pulled was the Angus, the Magician. I took that and I thought, wow, that's my starting point. And because I'd never really worked with the trumps before, because the regular deck only has the Fool, I started learning about the trump, and this is a sign from the heavens, let's say. And if you would have told me even then that I would be largely making half my income through reading tarot at that time, I would have said, you're crazy. You're not. But it turned out to be the right choice. And of course, I wrote my book based on the Thoth Tarot. And I am writing another one, a similar book, but it's going to go back to the Rider-Waite deck, because that 80% of the people who read tarot have a Rider-Waite deck. They don't have a Thoth deck. The Thoth deck was a dream primarily from the Golden Dawn Society. The driving force behind it was Aleister Crowley. He saw the change of age coming, and we are living in a new age. But it's slowly revealing itself, the age of Aquarius. And so he thought that the previous tarot that primarily comes out of the 1500s. And the Rider-Waite deck had been revised also at the time, but they were very much the same. But one difference, an important difference, is that the Thoth deck does not have a king. And for me, and for people who like the Thoth deck speaks to, our new age that we're entering, your children's children, will not have a world where there are people like Putin and Hitler, because there's the idea that man serves king, God, and country, that's going away. It's the new age, the precession of the equinox, also moving away from a Pisces, which is a male-dominated sign. And the 20th century has been just maybe the most blood-soaked of all. The first day of spring, for the last 2,000 years, the sun has been rising in Pisces. But the earth has a wobble. It's like if you had a spinning top, and it's spinning round and round like the earth does, you'll notice the top slowly goes backwards. There's a backward circle that's not as fast as the top. That's what the earth does. So also the earth has this potential, it wobbles. There's a slow wobble backward. And because the stars don't change, but the earth changes with this wobble, but it's a very slow change. On the equinox, it rises in a different house of the zodiac, because the geodesic of the earth is very much a geodesic, 360 degrees. Whether it's coincidence or just, I don't think it's coincidence, but the stars that we see over in that 360 geodesic form constellations, and there's 12 of them.
Like
And so the
astrology.
Earth, yes, it is. Yeah, and why that is, I don't know, but it is that. And of course, the ancients, they knew that. Like the Earth is really, our societies are a lot older than we think. Anyway, for example, like there's a lot of school of thought that believe the Sphinx was made 23,000 years ago, for example, because in that slow backward spin of the Earth, it was pointing exactly to Leo. And the age of Jesus is primarily known as the fish, right? The fish is a symbol. That's not an accident. It's Pisces. And
Oh, I
before
never
that
knew
was
that.
the Jewish, the ram, because
Okay.
it spins backwards through the zodiac. And for the past, say, 2,000 years, we've been moving slowly through the Pisces, the zodiac Pisces. So every March 21st, it used to be March 15th, the Ides of March, when the spring equinox comes, the sunrise has been rising in the constellation Pisces. But now we're in the cusp in between, and the next one back from Pisces is Aquarius. And Aquarius is a female sign, the water pourer. And even in the scriptures, they say the water will be poured from heaven for the healing of the nations. And after the cataclysm that's coming, the waters will pour from heaven for the healing of the nations, like the water carrier, the zodiac Aquarius does. We're living through this change, and with this change, even the idea of the Creator as the Father, as the fear, and the family's changing, even the Father, all. The most extreme expression of that, of course, is in the Muslim faith, still to this day. And at the end of an age, this comes, because it's the last of its kind, becomes very extreme, very dangerous.
It sounds like from the equinox and everything that
We are, yes,
Yeah.
we're leading to the age of Aquarius, but Pisces will not give up easily.
Mm.
It won't.
It's going to go kicking and screaming.
It has been.
It has been. We're feeling it.
It has been.
Yeah.
We're feeling it.
I'm curious, Marv, what is your zodiac sign?
Virgo.
Do you think that has an effect on your abilities as well?
Not necessarily, no. It's more my characteristics.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not, I think psychic ability is spread right through the zodiac. Yeah, I don't know.
We're learning that, aren't we, Rach?
Yeah.
We've been
Yeah.
asking our guests because we're trying to see, is there...
Yeah, I don't think so. I think psychic ability is everywhere.
It
yeah,
is.
for sure.
Yeah.
If you're a Virgo like myself, you'll be more inclined to write a book, let's say, because Virgos are very much, they're pernickety and good writers, good detail people.
Yes, very good with detail.
And they drive other, like Aquarius, crazy because they're more intuitive. They don't need all that detail.
You're the opposite. You're the polar opposite of Rachel and I. We're both Pisces. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Well, Pisces are not, well, yes, but Pisces are deep divers.
we are.
Yeah.
You don't take any, you have your own, you don't take anything on face value. I can't tell you anything. You have to experience it yourself. I know Pisces, they need that. And that's the strength of them. Yes, they go deep.
Definitely
down in the
curious.
water.
Yeah.
Oh,
Curious
yeah.
by nature, but we
And-
love that.
Yes, indeed. Pisces tend to be very skeptics. They're skeptics, but so I don't know if that's you, but like you need a lot of proof.
Yeah. I think a healthy
Yeah.
skepticism.
Healthy scalp, that's good. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Do you have a particular deck? I know you spoke of Thoth. Is that the deck
Yeah.
that speaks to you on a personal or maybe even spiritual level?
Yes. And the deck there are lots of Thoth decks, not as many as Rider-Waite deck, but there's more of them coming out. But you can get a Star Trek deck nowadays. The deck that I use, and for your readers too, if you're interested in having a deck that's really, I think is going to stand the test of time, it's the Millennium Thoth by Renaldo Lechner. And you can look that up. She's an amazing artist. I've been in touch with her. She's otherworldly, and the kind of detail she's put into this deck is just otherworldly. Again, the deck was designed primarily by Harris and Crowley back in 1930, and it was first published in 1971. And she's followed a lot of this, but she's taken what they had given and taken it to a new level. She's put so much astrology, numerology, spiritualism, symbolism into this deck. It's remarkable. First book I wrote on it using that deck. And I can tell you I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without this deck. It's that important to me. And I'm working on a new book on this deck too that goes into each card, trying to decode all the detail she's put into it. I'm releasing it slowly as essays, I guess. And each card is roughly around 5,000 words. It's remarkable what she's done here with this particular, the Millennium Toth. That's what it's called. It's available everywhere. It's based on the Crowley deck, and there are no kings. The top of the suits is knight. My book's doing well. It's a self-help guide to the tarot, so it shows how you can use the tarot as a tool for divination. Primarily with your friends. You can use it yourself, but there are limits when you do divination with yourself. When I started writing the book, I saw there was a lot of tarot books that were really esoteric, like they were deep and they're hard to understand. And then the other extreme was the really simple ones. And they didn't give you too much information, but they would give you a quick little bite of what the card might mean to you. So I saw a need for a book that's in the middle, one that gives you enough information that's intriguing but doesn't overwhelm you with too much detail.
That's great because I do know people who always ask me what kind of book should I look for, and now I have the perfect book to send to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got people have told me that they can even get together with their friends and they use the book. And one of the things about a lot of when you talk about the tarot, it's so in depth. I only could focus on one thing at a time. Like, for example, in my book, I don't talk about upside down cards.
I was just going to ask you what your take on reversals was.
Yeah, it's too much. They're there, but in the book, I can't cover the relationship between the cards. And I'm only doing one layout, which is the 5-card pentagram layout. Because every layout has a different, you can do past lives, you can do problems in your life. The 5-card pentagram layout draws one card from each part of the tarot. It gives you a comprehensive view about your future in the next little while. So it talks about your spirit, physical, your heart, your mind, and your money. And that's it. I shouldn't say that's it. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But it can never replace a reading, a personal reading. Because when you're psychic, the cards, they're very much like, people ask me this a lot. The cards are like the willow stick. I can use that metaphor. I don't necessarily need them because I can see into the future, I guess, and past by entering the astral plane. And the astral plane predicates everything on this plane. But the cards give me a reassurance. They predicate the visions I see, okay? So that's how I use it. Like the stick, maybe I don't need the stick to find water, but the stick just gives me that reassurance. There's really something. I mean, the water is there.
So the tarot acts as a tool for spiritual transcendence rather than the actual fortune telling.
Yeah,
okay.
It does.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And I suppose it doesn't work for everybody. There's other people could flip the cards and they wouldn't see it. They wouldn't feel it. They don't have that ability. Just like, say, my brother holding the stick and he says, this is bullshit. My brother, you have a problem. He doesn't buy into this. He doesn't feel it, so that's okay.
So if someone is a skeptic, maybe just a healthy skeptic, and they don't understand how to believe in the tarot, because we know somebody who is a healthy skeptic and wants to know how do we try to explain to them to help them understand?
Well, I would maybe use that same metaphor, because this question has been asked me many times. Very much like the willow stick, not everybody can feel the pulling down of the willow stick. It doesn't move through their body. And if you're not feeling it, like when you're doing a reading, there's nothing metaphysical happening. I've been doing thousands of readings over the last, especially since I've gone professional. And I still run into people that it just breaks down and I don't see anything. And I have to be honest with them. I said, I'm not working here. I'm not feeling it. It happens. If it's real, I have to say it. I have to tell you the truth, what I see. And if I don't see anything, there's something blocking me. Either the universe doesn't want the person to know what's happening. That could be very real. Because there's some things you don't want to know. I was doing a big psychic fair at my local town. And I did have one person, she came up to me and asked me some questions. And I just couldn't answer them. Other than that, like every reader that came to me, I was definitely sure. I was feeling just in the zone. But she came and I said, nope, Yeah, I'm not going to take your money. I tried, but I didn't give you anything. I didn't see anything.
Interesting.
It happens occasionally.
It's really refreshing to have someone say, yeah, no, not everyone.
No, it doesn't always work. I know it doesn't work for me. I wish it would, but I can't read my own fortune.
Right.
It just, it doesn't work.
There's something about it.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to know, I guess. I wish I could. I wish I could give myself the kind of advice I give other people.
Have you ever had a tarot reading, either giving or...
Yes, I have.
Okay, and did it floor you, or...
Yes. And I've also had past life readings, which really were very instructive to me. I want to get into past life readings myself and even do hypno-regressive therapy, but that still hasn't happened for me. I know I could hypnotize people, but I haven't been able to take them back to their past lives. So maybe that's something I want to start doing, but I haven't been able to. And I'm so busy with other things, I just haven't really worked on it. But
right.
I know past lives matter. And the research is off the charts on how important it is for people to understand their past lives, because they play out again in this life. I believe we're reincarnated incarnations like a lot of times. I also read palms. I can see that in palm reading very clearly. I can't tell you what your past lives are, but I can see it. And with the tarot deck, there's certain things I can do also. Again, I'm not very practiced at it. Like, these gifts are all like music. I'd be the last person to say I'm not gifted at music. You have to practice. You have to, and you don't just pick up a guitar and start playing. This is not in my world. You got to work through all the work.
Yeah.
I believe talent is generously distributed throughout the world. There's so much talent, but the rare quality is people who take that talent, like yourselves, do something with it. That is very special. That's the rare quality.
My father is a very gifted guitar player, and I grew up with music. I think even as Pisceans, Rachel and I, we love music. We embrace it. It's part of our spiritual experience. But he never took that as far as he needed to. I think he didn't have that drive, and I felt that he was missing out on big things in his life because he was so super talented. But he wasn't developed enough spiritually, I think, to really see that possibility within himself. Yeah. Music is often described as a spiritual experience, and you've been writing and performing for decades. So. Yeah. Do you see an overlap between your psychic abilities and songwriting?
Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt. And studies have proven that musicians are generally more psychic than the regular population, especially songwriters.
Yeah.
Like Loretta Lynn is one. If you know her, I'd probably not. She was a gifted psychic. She could read palms, looked into things. And there has been studies done on that. Yeah, like say, like being in music my whole life, I've seen what you describe so many times. Some people are so just, they've got the gift and they don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen unless you, I guess there's an occasional time, like let's say if somebody can take, usually these really gifted musicians are like, they can't really chew gum and walk upstairs at the same time. So they need somebody who's can look after their business affairs and be their patron, if you will, like the old Leonardo da Vinci. All the great artists would have a patron who would make sure that they get fed. And unfortunately, that's gone out of our world right now. But even like Van Gogh, if somebody could have took him under his wing and just looked after him so he wasn't starved to death, he would have maybe produced a lot more pictures. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to balance the logic and the left brain with the right of the creative.
It is. It's really rare. And again, I think some of the great artists, they've been able to get through life because they've had a great patron. Somebody who just looked after them and paid their bills because it kept them away from the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many great musicians just self-destruct. And I feel it. I know it in myself, too. I've got a lot of self-destructive characteristics, but luckily, I've been grounded and I've gotten through it. Maybe, who knows?
I think that comes with the power of being creative and being a musician, because there's been so many great works that have come from that. And trying to pull themselves out of that or being deep in it, what comes from that is amazing.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, Spirit Seekers. Enjoying the show? Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Spirit. Leave us a review on Apple or Spotify and share the love. We drop a new video every week on our YouTube channel covering paranormal, conspiracy, high strangeness, and more. Have questions or want to share your own spooky story? Drop us a line at tothespiritpod@gmail.com. Stay spirited.
I believe sound and vibration hold metaphysical properties. Do you think
Oh, yes.
that the music can be used as a tool for divination?
Absolutely, yeah. Like Nicholas Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of vibration, frequency, and amplitude. And what is frequency, amplitude, and vibration? That's music. That's the tone. That's the volume. And that's the note. The note. Each note has a different frequency. And those three principles that are principles of music is how to understand the universe. There are a lot of theories that say the universe is sung into existence. It's a grand vibration.
If you could design a tarot deck entirely based on music, what kind of symbolism or archetypes would you include?
Well, good question. But what comes to my mind immediately is great musicians. They would form the major arcana. Like, I think, like, for example, Jimi Hendrix would be the Tower. Frank Sinatra, he would be Lust.
I would buy this deck,
Bruce.
Marv. Okay, I would buy it.
That's
Then
good.
I would frame it too up on my wall.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
That's a great question.
You've published over 20 songs in Nashville. Is there one song of yours that you feel carries the most spiritual weight or was psychically inspired?
I've got a song called Badlands, and it was, again, like the best songs are the songs that just come out of the thin air and speak in a clarity of transcendence. And this song was inspired by the Badlands of Alberta, which you probably don't know, but we call it Dinosaur Valley here. Like the Badlands of, I think, North
Dakotas, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a really magical place. They found like you can't even walk on the ground till you touch like dinosaur bones. They're everywhere. And I know Bruce Springsteen has a song called Badlands too. It's a similar song. I wrote it before I even heard the Springsteen song, and which is cool because I think he was in tune with the same thing. When things go bad in your life, like it's obviously a relationship that went bad. Truthfully, if there's a worse feeling than that, I don't know about it. So the metaphor is like, I'm going through the Badlands. I'm going to make it. I can make it through the Badlands. I've got to carry on.
Nice.
And the cowboy thing that you put your hat on, you put your boots on, and you just carry on. So you'll make it through. So
yeah, we need that.
And that song actually got close to becoming a hit more than other of my songs because one day my publisher in Nashville called me and said, Marv, Garth Brooks' manager is taking your song on an airplane and listening to it for maybe the next Garth Brooks album. So I spent the weekend on pins and needles thinking, oh man, this could be my big break. But as it turned out, it was rejected for that album.
Oh.
So anyway, that's how it goes.
When you're recording, have you ever picked up any type of EVP messages through your recordings?
EVP it's a trans communication through electronics voice phenomenon. So it's like someone speaking maybe into your microphone, or you've picked up a voice behind you, because that happens to us often. We even get them in our security cameras. We'll get voices or disembodied voices.
No.
Interesting. Okay.
No, I haven't had that. I got to say, though, I've had a lot of transcendent experiences while recording and making music. When you just feel that moment of wonder that transcends the present and everything starts to make sense, but you can never hold on to those moments. They're going to go away soon, but you got to collect them. Like they happen sometimes you're just walking down the street. They're usually like, for me, they happen a lot of times in nature. And I know all of us as children were into those spaces, but as we get older, we lose that ability to enter that moment of wonder. I'll ask you too, like when you were a child, did you ever like sit on a swing and just spin around and look at the ground? Let your
Yes.
fingers trail. You did that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember just being somewhere else?
Yeah.
Like you're there, but you're transcendent. You could have been anywhere, but you just feel that moment. And everything makes sense to you as a child. Like the universe is speaking to you. God is speaking to you. But those moments become fewer and fewer as we get older. I think all children get those, whether they're playing with a dinky toy at a time, and you try to talk to them, but they're gone somewhere. They're not there. They've gone to that transcendent place. They're home.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me while recording, but nobody's speaking to me, I guess.
It's interesting.
Through
Okay.
the electronics. I do a lot of psychic fairs. And we get a lot of electronic issues in these things. More than typically the Wi-Fi won't work or clocks stop working. There's something about that.
There's definitely an energy. Yeah. You've studied spiritual traditions from Kabbalah to Slavic folklore. Have you found any common threads or symbols weaving through these different mystical systems?
Yes, it's all one. Yeah, they're all related.
That is good to hear.
Yeah, they're very much all related. Whether it's Celtic, Slavic, those are my two. They're far apart, but they're very much related. Egyptian, yeah. Egyptian Christianity, so close. Kabbalist,
Yeah.
and even at the true level, the Muslim faith, the basic level.
I wish everyone could see that we're all sitting around the same dinner table together.
Oh, I wish, yeah.
Let's talk aliens, Marv.
Okay.
You've had a close encounter. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, my wife and I were sitting on the banks of this beautiful lake here we have in the Okanagan called Kalamalka Lake. We were camping, and it was like a beautiful night. We're just enjoying a few drinks, the two of us, looking out at the lake, and all of a sudden, this huge craft came over top of the lake. We're talking like 20 miles wide.
Wow.
Massive. And it was so close. I've looked online. It's like a big sombrero. It seemed... Anyway, it was slowly turning, red windows. And the thing was, like, my wife and I were there, and we weren't into our second bottle of wine yet. I was sort of late. But honestly, time disappeared. And I believe we were scanned. Like, we were being scanned for... Or maybe we went up, but we have no memory of it. And we couldn't talk to each other while this was happening. We were just frozen. I was not scared. It was just... But there was no moving. It was just a moment of absolute silence and inactivity, no fear at all. It was just... For a minute, I didn't even know we were together, really. It was an unusual experience like that. I believe because of the fire, how much it burnt down, it was about, I would say, 20 minutes, maybe. But more than 50, 10, 15, somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes, because normally you put a log on the fire every so often, right? Anyway, it spun around, and with this strange feeling I was having anyway, and then it just slowly lifted off from where it was, because it was just sitting in the air and spinning, no sound. And then it lifted and slowly lifted, and then it went up, up, until it was just a dot of light in the sky, and then the dot of light extinguished. And then it was like we were lifted from our trance. She looked at me, I looked at her, I said, "Did you see that?" We shared our experience. It was exactly the same. We saw the same thing, but we couldn't reach for our cameras. We couldn't move. We didn't want to.
Yeah.
That didn't even occur to me at that time.
It never does.
And then we just like looking at ourselves. I remember looking at the fire because we were trying to figure this out. How long were we out for? And I think I guess it was real for both of us. That's my closest encounter I've ever had I've seen some weird things in the sky, but that was like right in your face.
Yes, I've seen things in the sky, but never anything like that has happened to me.
It was a big ship.
That's
It
interesting.
was just, and it just
And you had that shared experience with your wife.
Yeah, that
so
was
it's like, well, what are we having a folia do, or what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So it
did
was
you
really
feel
strange.
like that marked you?
Yes, it did. I think I've believed in UFOs for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that was confirmation.
Yeah.
And where I live, it's the Okanagan Valley here in British Columbia, and it's a hot spot for UFO activity. It really is. And one thing that a lot of people don't know about the Okanagan, but we're very rich in uranium here. There's a mining ban on it because it's also an environmental kind of world. But if you drive through or you go through the valley here, there's places where the road is crossed through a lot of heavy, like the mountains, the rock, and the rock is stained yellow. And that stain of yellow is uranium. Now, it's just possible that UFOs know that too, and they gather energy from the Earth, of course, if that's the case. So that would be just sort of explanation why this particular area is visited. I think the Earth does have nexus points, and somehow the elements of it contribute to that.
Some suggest that aliens aren't extraterrestrial, but interdimensional. What's your take?
Interdimensional.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Perhaps they're interplanetary,
Galactic.
Well, galactic means they're different galaxies. That's really hard to wrap my head around.
Right.
Within our galaxy, there's 8 billion stars? I don't know. Lots.
Yeah.
This Milky Way galaxy that we can see from our planet is huge. Every star we see is a star within our galaxy. There's only one galaxy that we can see, which is Andromeda. It's inside of Orion's belt, which is interesting too. And it's hard to see that galaxy, but we can see it. The universe is remarkable.
It really is.
It's just, and what we're seeing with the Hubble space scope nowadays, number of galaxies. Galaxies are so much bigger than ours. It's remarkable. We live in a remarkable time.
Do you think there's a psychic or telepathic component to the alien contact, almost like communication
Yes.
through consciousness instead of words?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, that's because words are so limited.
There's so much debate around what happens when we pass. What do you believe about the afterlife and the existence of different planes?
So this mortal plane is exactly that. There is an astral plane beyond what we see. This is a reflection of the real plane, our true home. Everything that we see is pretty much an illusion, including time. As spiritual beings, we were incarnated into this physical place right now. And we live in the physical domain, but it's really like a prison for us. It's a
prison
fact,
planet, yeah.
There are some people, we have free will here, and we have free will, but our spiritual beings are eternal. And this is a temporary home for us. It's really confining. I don't know if you've ever read Plato's analogy of the cave.
No.
Okay, so this is just a reflection of the real forms. Like we experience love only as a reflection of true love.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that's basically the theme behind it. Our lives are really short. It's a blessing to be alive. It truly is. But we're here for a purpose. We're here for a reason. And the reason is not to have the most pleasurable experiences of all time. None of us would want that. We don't want anybody responsible for happiness but ourselves. We need conflict to create character. We need it. And there are some schools of thought, like say, I don't know if you've ever read Sylvia Browne. She said, before you are incarnated in this planet, you've picked your life course.
Yeah.
Because you've got this karma to fulfill. So the suffering that we experience in this life, which is real, it's very real. But the joy is real too. We're born into this mortal realm, and when we die, it's hard to leave as well. A lot of us get left behind here, stuck, which is not good either, because you want to transcend. Our goal is to transcend. That's a simple, holistic way, but it means that you give life your best shot. You don't give up on it. That's the worst possible thing. And you want to never be afraid of dying. Don't live like you're afraid of dying. Can you imagine if all of us had moved to this stage where death is nothing? Death is not to be feared. Because when we die, we transcend this world through that mortal coil. There would be no war in Ukraine, for example, because fear is a very powerful motivator. Fear is not God at all. It's the fear of, like, Putin. So I'm going to go kill Ukrainians because if I don't, Putin's going to take me away from life. What the heck? Life is short.
We're all actors on the stage, and
yes,
we have to look at it that way. And I think reincarnation plays a role in the cosmic cycle of it all.
Yes. You don't want to be reincarnated. That's coming back here. The goal of life is to reach transcendence when this is your last time on this plane. In a lot of ancient religions, too, that was the case, including the ancient Egyptians, I've studied at length. They had almost a death cult. If you studied the Book of the Dead, it's very much a treatise, let's say, on transcending your mortality. And they used the Milky Way as a metaphor for it, including the dog star, that you had to pass all these tests on the other side. The main one was to weigh your heart against a feather, whether it was true or not. And if you didn't pass that test, bang, you're back down on this planet into the abyss. So it was interesting. That's a big topic.
Are you a prophetic dreamer or a lucid dreamer?
Yes. When I was a kid, I thought everybody could astral travel. I thought that was normal.
For me, that would scare me a bit, but everybody...
Oh, it's frightening. It's frightening.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's not all good on the others. It's not.
I believe that. I believe there's different realms.
Yes, yeah.
So I think I astral travel in my dreams. Sometimes I try to check to see if something's askew, and everything is so perfectly detailed. I'm like, I am somewhere else now.
And then get out of that sort of trance, you snap back into your body. It's like there's a silver cord that just pulls you right back in. And it's different than from a near-death experience, which I've had, because the silver cord is not there when you actually die, when you're just astral traveling. I personally don't like astral traveling because you don't know what you're going to get right into out there. It really has no rhyme or reason in terms of what, there's a purpose for it. I wouldn't make it a habit.
Yeah.
I can't see why I would.
That's a different kind of explorer.
Yeah.
That's a different mindset there.
And you're opening yourself to a lot of potentially really crazy things. And I know that personally. And you have to be very strong. You have to be. Because the temptation of this, why those words, lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. There's a reason for that.
Right.
It's very real. And unfortunately, like, the evil forces are there, and they're after the psychic people and the people in power because they can do the most damage.
We know all about that.
Yeah, it's Shakespeare's. I don't know if you read in school the Shakespeare's play Macbeth.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Macbeth is contacted by the three witches, which represent the evil forces. And I think people who are in power, positions of power, they're more tempted to go that way than most ordinary people because the evil just wants to wreak havoc. And when you're in power, you have more potential. Look what Hitler did. Look what's happening now in the world, where people in power have that ability to just destroy so much. And that's the story of Macbeth. And it's repeated many times around the planet like that. It's over and over again. Power is very seductive and fear is very powerful, but that's nothing to do with like love. An army driven by love is very powerful. Army driven by hate or fear is not nearly as much.
God always wins.
Yeah, well, in the long run, yes, he does.
It's a chess game, right?
I'm not sure if that's the right metaphor, but yeah,
well, I think it's a little bit of a chess game going on, and God's getting his pieces in order.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe it's just to let that out there for a free will, so that there are people who are sacrificed, like their soul will never be redeemed. It's too far gone. But they're there to test us. What do you do when you come across somebody like that?
Right.
Do you just give in, or do you stand up?
I know we've touched upon this a little bit, but we often hear about humanity entering a new age. Do you believe we're in a major spiritual shift?
Yes. Yeah, we are. Yeah. Again, that's why the Thoth Tarot is representative of the new age. And I believe the tarot has the ability to, it's plastic enough to change with time. there was a time when it was important to like put king and country above king, country, and God. Like it was, that age was there. It was the way it was meant to be. But as we change, mankind evolves, the tarot had to evolve too. Interestingly enough, like I've recently met a Mayan psychic, and she has a tarot deck that was the Mayan deck. I never even knew that happened, but it's there. So I wanted to learn more about it. She read my cards, and they have, like, for instance, in the tarot we have now, there's 22 cards in the major arcana, which are the spiritual cards. And her deck also had 22 cards in the spiritual deck. And there's 22 letters in the Jewish alphabet.
The math is math in here.
Why is the Great Pyramid exactly the same dimensions as the pyramid in Mexico City?
And they're all laid on those lines too.
Yeah, it's like you know, how we were supposed to believe that there wasn't a civilization that predated the current one we're in? That there wasn't a flood that wiped everything out and a reset? I don't know. And we're seeing the pyramids like a new light. It's like every day there's some news discoveries about this just keep coming. Like I don't know if you followed that recent study that came out that showed that underneath the pyramids are very many chambers and deep wells. Yeah. So
I love hearing everyone's perspective on it too, because there are people that believe they are generators.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. With everything happening politically, environmentally, and socially, do you see any big transformations coming down the pipeline?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. I hope it doesn't come to pass, but I believe we're going to have a nuclear showdown before too long. That's going to be the transformational point. Now, unfortunately, I hope it doesn't happen, but I believe it's going to happen. I see it.
Well, I'm secretly hoping that the ETs will not allow for this because they live in our space too.
Well, it's happened before. There's a lot of evidence too that in the book of Revelation, the Bible, the end of days, a star called wormwood falls from the heavens and poisons a third of the water, a third of the land, a third of the people. And in Ukrainian wormwood, the name is Chernobyl.
Interesting.
Chernobyl means wormwood in Ukrainian. And the Chernobyl power plant is a harbinger of perhaps what we should be paying attention to.
Oh, I hope
but we're
that doesn't
advancing
come to
so
pass.
fast. I hope not, but
No.
and if it does come to pass, it's very short-lived, but it will be a transformational event. There's going to be either that or a meteorite hit. We live in a very fragile place, and like age changes tend to be, like big changes, tend to be predicated by that kind of event, whether man-made from the heavens. The Great Flood was predicated by going through the comet trail of a comet that blew up, Younger Dryas, and North America got wiped out. Like there's so much, all the megafauna. Africa has elephants. We had elephants here too, but they were wiped out because of that particular hit that hit right during the Yucatan Peninsula and changed the climate for that time. I don't think we have to worry about us changing the climate. I see it coming from the Muslim world. I do. And that is predicated in the Bible as well. But we'll see what happens.
Right. We're all
Predicted,
along
not
for this
predicated.
ride.
Yeah. Let's pray it doesn't, because it would be so devastating. But, you know, the bombs that we dropped on Hiroshima are just little playthings compared to what we have now.
It's horrifying. So you have
It
to
is horrifying.
try to
It's horrifying.
continue to live not in fear. And sometimes you just get brought right back into it.
Chernobyl was a very minor nuclear accident in relation to what could potentially happen. And we have nuclear plants all over the planet. Oh, listeners, don't go panicking.
Don't go heading down to the bunkers yet.
It's one of my predictions. I hope that comes true.
Have you ever experienced a miracle?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Anyone in particular that really stands out?
I got involved in a serious car accident when I was 17. And that's when I had my near-death experience, too. And I was beyond my body, and I was on my way. It was very good, by the way. I could see my mother. She was dressing my head wounds with holy water. That's an important part of my growing up. The church would provide this water that had been blessed by the priest, and she'd always keep it around the house to sprinkle it around and bless food. It's a long story, but anyway, she's a very amazing woman. And while she was doing that, I realized, well, I got to tell my mom I love her, because I don't know if I've told her that. And next thing I was back in my body, and I could tell her that, and then I was gone. And the next thing I knew, I woke up in the morning, and although my head was splitting and my eyes are completely black. The worst thing to do when you have head injuries is to go to sleep.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that, and the doctor sent me home. But meanwhile, my skull was actually cracked, and I had massive internal bleeding. My head was bleeding. And when that happens, the blood goes into your tissues, and it actually swelled my eyes shut. They were like completely panda bear's eyes. When I woke up in the morning, I had a little bit of a peephole on one eye. Anyway, and then my mom took me to the hospital, and the hospital said, well, you're alive? They said they can't do anything about this now because all the blood is already gone. They probably would have thought, if I would have went there the night of, they have tried to operate on me and drain all that pressure, but a miracle happened and I didn't die.
Wow.
Well, I died temporarily, I guess, but I came back to life. It took about a year for that to drain out of my eyes, too. I had black eyes for 8 months.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's how much it was. That's how much I bled.
When you went to the other side, you probably were like, I don't want to come back.
No, I was comfortable. I thought, hey, I've had my life. I'm done. But I didn't get any journey, like somebody talking to me or anything like that. I didn't have that. Some people have talked about that. For me, it was just moving in a beautiful, comfortable light and total acceptance, no worries, no pain. When I came back to life, it was hard to describe that pain.
Yeah.
Very intense.
If you could deliver one message to humanity right now through a song, a tarot reading, or even a simple phrase, what would it be?
Make the most of each moment. Don't waste this life. It's a miracle. It's a beautiful thing. Give it your best shot.
I love that.
And love, don't hate. Forgive yourself. Forgive, like they say, that forgive us our trespasses, we forgive those who trespass against us. Don't hold on to hate. Forgive, and you'll be forgiven too. Don't hold on to that. That was really the message that Jesus gave us all. No matter how badly you feel you've screwed up, it's okay, you're still loved, and you can be forgiven. I don't know if you know that, if you watch that Mel Gibson movie of Jesus.
Yes.
And he's on the cross, and he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, God, oh, man. Wow.
I know, and I love that phrase.
Jeez, wow. It's just like out of the top drawer of everything. So that's what I would share with everybody, that just, it is beautiful to be, and collect those moments of wonder. Let them come to you. Yeah. Don't give up. Never
Never
through
give
the
up.
Badlands.
That's right. Just like the song,
Put
guys.
the hat on, put the boots on, carry on. That's right. Sure.
Oh, Marv, this has been an extraordinary conversation. Your journey,
All right.
the way you weave together psychic insight and tarot wisdom
Thank you
and
so
musical
much.
artistry. It's inspiring.
Thank you. What you're doing too is inspiring to me. So
Oh, well, thank
keep
you.
doing it.
Thank
Keep
you.
on the path you're on. It's a beautiful path.
For our listeners who want to dive deeper, where can they find your work, whether it's your music, your readings, or books?
Well, I've got 2 websites. I've got one that is my music site, which is marvmachura.com. And my psychic site is universe-psychic or universe-psychic.com. That'll lead you to me. I do online readings in case anybody's interested in that. And
Awesome.
it's a growing business. Space does not matter when you're in the metaphysical world. You could be anywhere in the world and we can connect. The ancients knew that too, but they didn't need the telephones. But anyway, enough said about that. But if you want to meet me, and I'd love to meet you too, just I've got that, and listen to my music.
Yeah.
Drop me a line anytime. Yeah.
We're going to have all of Marv's links in the episode description.
Thank you.
And if today's episode resonated with any of you, let us know. Leave us a comment or a review. We love hearing your stories. Until next time, you keep questioning, keep exploring,
Yeah, thank you so much.
and
Yeah,
stay open
keep
to the
living.
magic of the unknown and keep living.
Yeah, life is a mystery to be lived, not to be solved. Okay, friends? Yeah.
I love
sure.
it.
To the spirit
Podcast.
supernatural science
I'm ghost.
psychic mystic
Spirit.
divine source
Heaven.
the dead
It's magic.